We're going to be returning education very simply back to the states where it belongs.
Now at 6:30, President Donald Trump signs an executive order marking the possible end of the Department of Education. What's next and how this could change education in the U.S. Plus, the NCAA tournament tips off today, but all this March Madness could cause you to lose your voice.
It's important for fans to remember that they don't need to be the loudest voice in the room.
How to keep the cheers going during the big dance. And in sports,
it's the NCAA tournament kind of it's a lot slower.
College basketball may be at center court, but wrestling is heating up. Find out more about the 2 Ohio wrestlers in the NCAA championships. Newswatch starts right now. As we come on the air tonight, we have breaking news. The Ohio Department of Health reports the first measles cases in the state. The patient is an adult from Ashtabula County. Health officials say the patient was unvaccinated and had been in contact with someone who had recently traveled internationally. This new case comes as parts of the southeastern U.S. are seeing a large spread of the virus. The announcement comes also just days after ODH Director Bruce Vanderhoff and other health leaders held a press conference about the latest measles outbreak. They stressed the importance of parents keeping up to date with their children's vaccinations. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, 301 cases have been confirmed as of Thursday last week, in 15 states. Ohio had 7 cases of the virus last year. ODH says it's following up on potential exposures. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jack Green. We are also following developing news out of Washington tonight. A little over an hour ago, President Donald Trump signed an executive order to dismantle the Department of Education. While entirely shutting down the department requires an act of Congress, the president has directed the Education Secretary to take steps toward its closure. Laura Geary has more on the move that is leaving millions of teachers, families, and students concerned about the potential loss of critical services for classrooms.
My administration will take all lawful steps to shut down the department. We're going to shut it down and shut it down as quickly as possible.
President Donald Trump has never minced words about his plan to dismantle the Department of Education. Today, he moved even closer to that goal by signing an executive order to that effect.
We're going to be returning education very simply back to the states where it belongs.
Education Secretary Linda McMahon confirming on Fox News she's completely on board.
That was the president's mandate. This directive to me clearly is to shut down the Department of Education, which we know we'll have to work with Congress, to get that accomplished.
The White House press secretary appeared to clarify between a total department shutdown and services reduction ahead of today's signing.
The president's executive order directed Linda McMahon to greatly minimize the agency. So when it comes to student loans and Pell Grants, those will still be run out of the Department of Education.
She also said funding for the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act and Title I for low-income schools would also not be impacted.
Any critical functions of the department, such as that, will remain.
There's been a wave of recent protests against the potential closing of the department, and some educators' unions feel their voices aren't being heard.
I'm just surprised that the president is not working with the teachers in classrooms throughout the country, as represented by their union, to make things better.
The executive order is expected to spark a litany of legal opposition. I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Back here in Ohio, fallout continues as activist groups and state lawmakers react to yesterday's House vote on Senate Bill 1, a proposed law that could reshape campus life on colleges across the state. The bill would most notably ban the usage of diversity, equity, and inclusion in higher education and prohibit faculty from going on strike. The Americans for Civil Liberties Union of Ohio called the move a step in the wrong direction, saying SB 1 doesn't build bridges, it burns them. Meanwhile, at the State House, Republicans praised the move, saying the bill will create fairness in education and the workforce. 3 GOP members broke with their party, joining Democrats to vote against the bill.
You are prepared to be that physician. You are prepared to do what it is that you studied to do. But the reality is when you are preparing to do what it is you studied to do, what you paid to do, you got to understand that you are going to interact with people who may not be just like you.
SB 1 now heads back to the Senate, which needs to review changes to the bill made in the House. WOUB is your source for news in Southeast Ohio. For the latest news across the region, head to our website, woub.org, or download the WOUB app. Turning now to the weather. Spring has finally sprung here in Southeast Ohio. Forecaster Rachel Grant is in the Weather Center. And Rachel, looking outside, winter is finally over, but it's still pretty chilly outside. Could we see a warm up here soon?
We will be seeing a warm up, Jack. We're seeing most of us have been sitting pretty in the 50s for most of today. Right now we're sitting in the mid to lower 40s. Athens 46, Lancaster 41, Zanesville 47. So as we're getting into the evening, it's going to be a little bit chilly. And we might also still see some rain. We're seeing a couple pop-up showers passing through Athens and southeastern Ohio in the last few hours. Might still be feeling some sprinkles to come, but most of us are staying dry for now. We're seeing overcast skies, 41 outside. And as we're going into tonight, we'll be feeling the chill just a little bit. We're seeing that low of 26 and mostly cloudy skies. As we're going into tomorrow, no need to worry about the cloud or the rain. It'll be wonderful to kick off our weekend. We'll be seeing that high of 57 with mostly sunny skies. And we'll talk more about what to expect for the weekend and maybe some rain for Sunday going into next week in my full weather forecast. For now, we're going back to Jack.
Thanks, Rachel. A judge agrees to a second competency evaluation on the man charged in the mass shooting in New Albany. An initial screening showed that Bruce Foster III should be treated for mental health issues before he stands trial. Foster is accused of killing 2 people and injuring 4 others in a February mass shooting at a New Albany cosmetics production facility. Authorities have said the shooting appears to have been a targeted attack. A judge will decide whether to hospitalize Foster before he stands trial once the second evaluation is complete. Cabell County students were back in the classroom after a reported shooting shut down 2 schools in Huntington. Huntington police officers responded to a call who had been shot in the arm. The victim reportedly gave dispatchers multiple addresses on the phone, including Southside Elementary and Huntington Middle School, which were both shut down. Officials later gave the all clear and the schools reopened. The victim drove themselves to the hospital and their injuries are not life-threatening. Turning now to the economy, while some automakers are making breakthroughs in technology and innovation, rising tariffs and potential supply crunches are some of the challenges automakers are facing. Ivan Rodriguez breaks down what this means for the industry and car buyers.
25% tariffs now in place on steel and aluminum imports, levies on cars from Asia and Europe set to go into effect next month, and import taxes on all goods, including cars and parts, imported from Canada and Mexico to begin in less than 2 weeks, all adding up to uncertainty in the auto industry.
We're going to be getting back some of the wealth that very, very foolish presidents gave away.
The Trump administration has listened to pleas from automakers to spare them from tariffs and said there's an easy answer: build cars in the U.S. But some say it's not that simple or quick.
You need time to adjust your inventory, your production plans. If you want to build a plant here, if everything went right, it would take 2 to 3 years.
President Trump's on-again, off-again policies have led some automaker CEOs like Jim Farley of Ford to say they're not going to invest billions of dollars and build new plants immediately. Auto worker and Trump supporter Chris Vital agrees there will be short-term pain, but hopes the work that gets done now isn't erased.
We have one guy who's in here for 4 years and he wants manufacturing, and then we get another 4 years of somebody who makes it impossible to manufacture. We can't keep going back and forth like that.
For people looking for a new car, they might be in for a sticker shock.
If we're talking about a 25% or even a 10% tariff, that's going to add significant cost.
In Atlanta, I'm Ivan Rodriguez.
The deadline for Americans to file their taxes is now less than a month away, and the Internal Revenue Service may face some challenges this year. The agency has faced upheaval since the Trump administration took over. Over the past 7 weeks, key top executives have left the IRS, about 6,700 probationary employees lost their jobs last month. Despite the changes, tax professionals say they're not seeing any problems with people filing their taxes or getting refunds. Experts warn while the system seems to be working fine right now, more reductions in force could have an impact, especially when it comes to taxpayer services. While it remains unclear what impacts Trump's presidency will have on the U.S. economy, but the Federal Reserve is holding its rates firm. Karen Caifa has the latest from the White House.
President Trump calling on the U.S. Federal Reserve to cut interest rates after the central bank on Wednesday extended a pause on cuts. Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell acknowledged the uncertainty American consumers and businesses are feeling, even if that sentiment hasn't played out yet in hard numbers around hiring and consumer spending. In describing the Fed's ultimate goal on inflation, Powell signaled the Fed's target and Trump's trade agenda may be at odds.
I think a world where people can make their daily economic decisions in businesses and they're not having to think about the possibility of significantly high inflation. We know inflation will bounce around. That is price stability. You know, I think we were getting closer and closer to that. I do think with the arrival of the tariff inflation, further progress may be delayed.
Powell said Trump's tariffs were a factor in the Fed's higher inflation forecasts for this year, but their impact on inflation is tough to gauge. Trump responded to the Federal Reserve's announcement by calling on the independent central bank to cut interest rates. In a social media post, the president wrote, "The Fed would be much better off cutting rates as U.S. tariffs start to ease their way into the economy. Do the right thing." As more economists up their odds of a U.S. recession this year, though the Fed doesn't make recession forecasts, Powell did say that the risk remains relatively low, at least for now. At the White House, I'm Karen Kafa.
Americans across the country continue to lash out against their elected leaders in Washington. Voters are calling out their representatives in Congress on everything from DOJ to plans to fight back against President Donald Trump's agenda. Take a listen.
We want you to show fight.
Several Republican lawmakers have faced vocal crowds just like this one, challenging many of the initial orders and policy shifts by the Trump administration. Some of the top concerns for voters include federal layoffs, veterans affairs, and the economy. The leader of the House GOP campaign arm urged Republicans not to hold in-person town halls, instead moving them online. But some members are still holding in-person events, like Congressman Mike Flood of Nebraska. Emotions ran high as the Republican was booed by a large crowd.
Somebody asked me afterwards, you know, what do you think's going on here? And I said, well, people don't like change.
Democrats aren't off the hook either. In New York, residents say Democrats must stand up to President Trump on policies like immigration and First Amendment rights.
It's important for fans to remember that they don't need to be the loudest voice in the room.
Coming up, the big dance is here, how you can protect your voice and still cheer on your team this March Madness. And the Vatican says that Pope Francis no longer needs assisted breathing. We have the latest.
And we saw some spring showers earlier today. Find out what your weekend will look like when Newswatch returns.
For more than 70 years, WOUB Public Media has been the place where people in our region turn to learn how stories of the past ignite the imagination of the future. It's where information, entertainment, and education work together to inform, enlighten, and inspire generations. It's the place where the community gathers to hear and see our world in new and innovative ways. WOUB, the public media you trust that's worthy of your support.
The Ohio Art Corridor is a destination experience. We would like this to be the largest outdoor art gallery in the world.
Portsmouth was able to field an incredible team for a brief moment in the sun that almost was sweet enough to get them a national championship.
We got land granted to us in Ohio. Great opportunity. Let's go. How would you know you got here? It was just sheer determination and patience and just hard, back-breaking work.
The bridge was acclaimed at the time of being an engineering marvel.
Progress is all about taking the lessons of the past and doing better. So I would hope that now that we know better, we will do better.
WOUB is recognizing members of our Cornerstone Society. The Cornerstone Society is a group that wants to ensure the future of public media in our region. It includes people across our area who value news, entertainment, and cultural programming, as well as the educational services WOUB provides. Also included are graduates of Ohio University who took part in the WOUB Student Professional Development Program. Thanks to the Cornerstone Society for their generous support. To learn how you can be involved, email woub@woub.org.
Welcome back to Newswatch. I'm Rachel Grant, and happy first full day of spring. Surely felt like spring this morning with some early rain showers really passing by Ohio throughout most of the morning and really clearing out by around 11 a.m. But as we're going into the afternoon, might see some clouds, but we're seeing some pop-up showers right here in Athens. It's passing by us now in the last couple of hours or so, so still might feel some lingering showers or some sprinkles throughout the early evening, but that will be clearing out by tonight. And with this rain, it's also bringing some rather warmer temperatures. We're seeing most of us are sitting in the mid 40s, but today we reached up all the way to the higher 50s. We're seeing high of 53 for today with chance of showers throughout the day. As we're going into tonight, we'll be seeing the rain really clearing out in that low of 26. We're seeing some clouds stick around for the evening. So tonight will be a chilly night. If you're going out tonight, make sure you have that sweatshirt or that jacket. You're going to need it, but no need for it for tomorrow. We'll be seeing a high of 57 with mostly sunny skies. And tomorrow will be the full last day when we'll be able to grasp some of this sunshine before we'll be seeing some rain. And if we're looking at the map for tomorrow, we're not really seeing much for Ohio specifically. But if we're going to look a little bit to the west near Wisconsin, we're seeing this low pressure system sitting here. As we're going into tomorrow night, we'll be seeing that low pressure system really shifting closer to us, bringing that cold front down as well. But when we're going into Saturday, that's when we'll see the start of the rain. So make sure you go outside, enjoy that sunshine tomorrow. We're seeing the rain return going into Saturday with some cold fronts. And that's even reflected on our our outlook for the weekend. We're seeing that low of 30. That's when we're seeing that cold front passing through. But the sunshine will only last tomorrow and Saturday. So make sure you enjoy it while it's here, because starting Sunday, that's when we'll be seeing lots of rain. We'll be seeing rain really dominating all of next week, seeing most of the rain coming on Sunday and Thursday, but still staying relatively warm all throughout the next week or so in the high 50s and even lower 60s. But again, rain's going to dominate all of next week. We'll be seeing some sunshine before the rain in the next few days.
Yeah, Rachel, you know, it's nice seeing all this sunshine going into the weekend.
Yes.
It makes going into the weekend so much more happier and like lively. And it's spring. It's spring. We're finally out of winter. So tell me about this. How much rain could we be seeing? I saw it was on a lot of days, but how much could we actually be seeing?
We could be seeing around an inch to an inch and a half, especially on Sunday, since that's when most of this rain is going to shift down from Canada. So we're seeing most of that coming on Sunday. So around an inch and a half throughout the rest of the week. That's going to be like under half an inch.
Oh, so nothing too crazy.
Nothing too crazy for next week.
For next week, yeah. Thank you so much, Rachel. Well, with the start of spring also comes spring cleaning. Athens is hosting a spring cleanup week where residents will be able to place a limited number of trash bags on their curb at no additional cost. It starts April 14th and runs through the 18th. All trash must be on the curb before 7 a.m. on your regular collection day. If residents need larger items to be hauled, they can also put them on their curb without calling to arrange for pickup, but the pickup won't be free of charge. For additional questions, contact the phone number on your screen. New tonight, the Vatican says Pope Francis no longer needs assisted breathing, but leaders did not rule out the possibility of him resuming it. The Pope has been receiving a non-invasive ventilation, but in recent weeks only used it while sleeping. Pope Francis was admitted to the hospital in mid-February and has been battling pneumonia in both of his lungs. The Vatican says his pneumonia is considered under control and as he continues to be fever-free. March Madness returns today, and basketball fans will soon be cheering on their favorite team as they try to win this year's national championship. But all that cheering can take a toll on your voice. Mandy Gaither explains how to protect your voice while cheering during the big days.
It's that time of year again. Hoops, hopes, and fans cheering. But experts say prolonged shouting can actually damage your vocal cords.
Our voice is really kind of our treasure. It's part of who we are, and it's very important to take care of it.
Anne Marie Parati with the American Speech, Language, and Hearing Association says excessive use of the voice for extended periods can lead to lesions on the vocal cords. To avoid temporary or even permanent damage, she says to stay hydrated by drinking lots of water and avoid sodas, alcohol, or even fried, salty, or spicy foods, which can all dry out vocal cords. Next, take breaks from cheering to give your voice a rest.
It's important for fans to remember that they don't need to be the loudest voice in the room.
Parati says you can find alternative ways to cheer that don't involve your voice, like clapping or using noisemakers. Also, don't smoke or vape and avoid smoky environments, which can inflame vocal cords. After the game, soothe your throat. Sipping warm tea with honey or inhaling steam can help keep vocal cords relaxed. Finally, if you have persistent hoarseness or vocal pain lasting more than 2 weeks, it's time to see a specialist.
The longer you go without getting the help, the more damage can be done.
For Health Minute, I'm Mandy Gaither.
Next in sports, Ohio wrestlers Jordan Greer and Garrett Thompson hit the mat for the first round of the NCAA championships today. Find out more about both wrestlers' results coming up next.
It's time to look at our home in a whole new way. Imagine carbon stored in nature on an incredible scale. Looking after it is essential because our future depends on the future of nature.
Wednesday at 10 on WOUB.
In the fourth year of Changing Planet, we are focusing on two of the largest river restoration projects ever attempted.
What?
One urban.
The River Seine is undergoing a colossal detox.
One wild and remote.
These dams will be completely gone within a matter of months.
Everyone knows there's hope. It's big.
These are stories of ambition and action for our changing planet.
I'm a queen. I don't fear anyone.
This was a woman people wanted to follow.
You are an important part of our work. You're stronger than you know. Saddle my horse immediately.
She's a female trailblazer.
We did it by acknowledging our own worth. Oh, please, do continue. Make way for the Queen, please.
That's just fantastic.
Ready, sir. This day has been long in coming.
At a time of brutal division, she redefined what it means to be a monarch.
Do you imagine the peril in which you stand? I shall not tolerate this defiance. Reputation is everything.
You can't do everything yourself.
I'm a queen. I don't fear anyone.
Sunday on WOUB.
Good evening and welcome to sports. I'm Josh Herner. The NCAA Wrestling National Championships began this morning as two Bobcat wrestlers, Jordan Greer and Garrett Thompson, each hit the mat today. After winning the MAC championship at the 174-pound weight class, Thompson earned the fourth seed in the NCAA tournament. His opponent was Jackson Turley, the 29th seed from Rutgers. Thompson dominated the match, winning 16-1 via a tech fall in the second period. He now moves on to face Cade DeVos in the second round. Thompson qualified for the championships last year and is taking that experience into this year's tournament.
I think just taking it one match at a time, and it's a pretty long tournament, like a long 3 days, so it's the NCAA tournament kind of just, it's a lot slower, so just resting in between matches and just, like I said, taking it one match at a time and not like looking ahead at the brackets or like anything like that.
Jordan Greer earned the 20th seed in the heavyweight division and took on the 13th seed Seth Nevels of Maryland. Nevels won in a 5-0 decision in round one of the championships. Greer will now face the 29th seed Ashton Davis of Cornell in the consolation bracket. Greer also qualified for the tournament last year and talked about key differences this time around.
Last year didn't go as I wanted, but a couple of key differences, I think. One was just health, honestly. That was my first year back from my ACL injury, so I feel a lot stronger at the weight class now, a lot more mobility.
Ohio football is officially under a month away from the spring game as the team is coming off both a MAC championship and a victory in the Cure Bowl. New first-year head coach Brian Smith talked about his first months in his new role and what he's learned about his squad so far.
Yeah, it's a humbling experience. I'm extremely proud to have the opportunity to lead this program. It's a great responsibility. I love the kids that are here in the program and the coaches I get to work with, make it extremely enjoyable. I've learned that they love football and they enjoy playing and practicing together. And you could see that today, that there was a lot of really good competition, great energy. I thought they had a lot of fun together. So the off season, when you interject a good group of new kids, they have to be able to embrace that part of the program.
Ohio Bobcats basketball players are forming a new team for the nationally broadcasted the basketball tournament in July. Former Ohio stars Jason Preston and Ben Vanderplas plan to team up with other Ohio Bobcats alum to form a team for the basketball tournament. Preston was drafted in the second round of the 2021 NBA draft and is currently on the Utah Jazz NBA team. Vanderplas currently plays in the Swedish Basketball League after graduating from the University of Virginia in 2023. Jack, back to you.
Thanks, Josh. Still ahead with spring weather comes blooming flowers, and a new list has Ohio as one of the best places to see them. Take a look when we come back.
Militant accelerationists are neo-Nazis who want to use terror and violence to bring down our government and create a new white ethno-state.
What's interesting about this collective is how transnational it is.
These people on Telegram were trying to stir other people to commit acts of incredible violence.
Tuesday at 10 on WOUB.
Asking tough questions to those in power.
There is this consensus that Democrats are somehow out of touch with the voters.
All of us have to do a better job of seeing the very real pain that exists across this country.
What did you make of the high degree of dysfunction within the Republican conference?
I always felt it was broken.
And covering events as they unfold.
This continues to be a dangerous situation. Almost everyone is either evacuated or lost a home in this fire.
This is you on the cusp of your next chapter.
It's a passageway into something new.
It just seeps into you.
It's a groundbreaking moment.
We can make it ours.
We're coming out hot. We're starting here. It's definitely going to be a treat for their palate.
What a story.
She had the imagination of a genius.
Each time I go up there, it's the sense of newness.
3, 2, 1.
Showtime.
We're all running.
It's beautiful. Cherish every moment.
Continue to laugh.
We hope you'll join us.
There is no going back.
It's time for a new beginning.
Now, as many of you know, today is the first day of spring, and warmer temperatures mean flowers will be blooming soon. Some of the first to bloom each year will be cherry blossoms, and according to Country Living Ohio, has some of the best places to see them, and we can all attest to that. They released their list of the 30 best places to see cherry blossoms, and Ohio took 3 spots on the list, including Athens. Cincinnati was the first Ohio city at number 22, followed closely by Athens at number 22, and Cleveland at number 27. Athens' 175 cherry blossoms are expected to bloom at the end of the month and were a gift for Ohio University's 175th anniversary. Now, Rachel, it's looking beautiful the next 2 days.
Yes.
Now, would it be nice to go down on the bike path to maybe see those cherry blossoms, letting off some March Madness steam after your team loses?
Of course. Tomorrow is the perfect day to do that with a high of 57. Even Saturday as well, but we'll see some clouds returning then, and then Sunday will begin really the washout for next week.
Yeah, I mean, that's a pretty long couple days of rain, So great March Madness weather, I would say. Well, that does it for us here this evening. Thanks so much for joining us. Stay tuned for the PBS NewsHour coming up next. Have a great night.
We're on the precipice of a great discovery.